There's a weight that lands the instant you see red on the screen, a weight that sinks through your chest and coils around your stomach like iron chains. The charts don't lie, but they don't comfort either. And in that quiet moment, the world seems suspended between the tick of a clock and the pounding of your own pulse. You feel exposed, stripped bare, not just by the numbers, but by the relentless honesty of your own choices. The ones you made thinking you were prepared, thinking you understood the market, thinking you had control. Your hands are trembling. Your mind rewinds every decision, every hesitation, every fraction of a second that could have changed the outcome. And still, you know there is nothing you can do now. It's not just a trade lost, it's the echo of all the trades before it, the whispers of past mistakes, the haunting promise that you could have done better if only you had been faster, smarter, more disciplined. The screen glows with the failure you wish you could erase, and yet it's impossibly permanent, mocking you with its relentless clarity. You think about telling anyone about the sting of this loss, but the words die in your throat because who can really understand that moment between hope and defeat, between expectation and the cruel finality of numbers? You sit there, frozen and restless, knowing that the market doesn't wait, that it doesn't care, and that the lesson it teaches is carved in pain. Every breath is heavy, every thought a spiral, every second stretching longer than the last. And in that tension, you realize the cost is not the money, not the margin, but the quiet collapse of certainty, the unraveling of confidence that you had so carefully constructed. And yet deep beneath the frustration, beneath the sharp edges of self-reproach, there is a whisper of something else, something you can almost touch, a faint pulse reminding you that this moment, terrible as it is part of the same process that will forge the trader you are trying to become, if only you can survive it without losing yourself completely. The replay in your mind begins almost involuntarily, a relentless loop of what-ifs and should-haves that gnaws at the edges of reason. Every tick of the market becomes a mirror reflecting your own inadequacy, every price swing a silent accusation, and you find yourself whispering apologies to no one in particular, as if acknowledging guilt could somehow reverse the outcome. You see your mistakes laid bare, your hesitation, your impatience, the tiny compromises you allowed that seemed insignificant at the time, but now loom like monuments to failure. The self-criticism is sharp, intimate, and suffocating. It finds the quiet corners of your mind and settles there like a shadow you cannot shake. You imagine the judgment of others, the sneer of imagined peers who would point out what you missed, what you ignored, what you overestimated. And the worst part is that some of the blame is fair, undeniable, earned by choices you made with full knowledge, yet your mind refuses to separate fair from unfair, logical from emotional, and the spiral tightens, drawing you deeper into a haze where the difference no longer matters. You start to question everything: your strategy, your discipline, your ability to read the market, and ultimately yourself. The loss becomes a reflection of your identity, not just your capital, and you feel the corrosive sting of regret, the kind that scratches at your confidence and whispers that maybe you're not cut out for this. And still, beneath the swirl of blame, beneath the self-inflicted torment, there is a subtle, almost imperceptible edge of awareness that this spiral, though painful, is illuminating. You begin to see how attachment to outcome has dictated your reaction, how fear of failure magnified every misstep, and how regret, if observed without surrender, can be a lens into your true patterns, your unspoken vulnerabilities, and the hidden crevices where real growth waits, quietly, for the moment you finally stop punishing yourself and start listening instead. There is a war inside you, a quiet but relentless clash between the voice of reason and the voice of panic, between the part of you that knows the rules of the market and the part that feels exposed, naked, defeated. Rationally, you understand that losses are part of the process, inevitable and impersonal, but emotion refuses to listen. Your heart beats faster with every thought of what you could have done differently, and your mind, trained to analyze charts and trends, now becomes a stage for fear, regret, and self-doubt. Each fiber of your being wants to scream, to react, to fix what cannot be fixed, yet the part of you that can think clearly knows is futile. And the clash is exhausting, relentless, A storm without wind or rain that rips through your inner calm, leaving only turbulence. You catch yourself oscillating between two extremes. One moment wanting to throw the laptop across the room, the next wanting to rationalize every minor detail as if that could erase the sting. You see patterns in hindsight, connections that weren't there in real time, and you chastise yourself for not acting on insights you only recognize now. The more you argue with yourself, the louder the emotional voice becomes and the more it twists your confidence into knots. But in this chaos, there's also clarity, subtle and precise, if you dare to notice. The clash itself is a signal, a marker of where your discipline meets its limits, where attachment to outcome compromises judgment, and where the real work begins. Understanding this conflict does not erase pain, it does not absolve failure, but it illuminates the battlefield of the mind, revealing the terrain you must navigate if you wish to trade again without surrendering to every pang of regret. And in this moment, when rationality flickers against emotion like a candle in the wind, you realize that mastery is not in eliminating loss or controlling feeling, but in learning to exist within the tension, aware, patient, and unafraid of the discomfort it brings. The replay begins almost automatically, a relentless, looping cinema inside your mind, where every moment of the trade is magnified, scrutinized, dissected. You see yourself entering, hesitating, adjusting, exiting, and in each replay, some tiny, invisible choice looms larger than life, an infraction against perfection that now seems unforgivable. Your brain refuses to rest, refusing to accept the finality of the loss, and so it drags you back over and over, like highlighting every pause, every click, every second you spent doubting or acting too late. You imagine alternative outcomes with exquisite clarity, the trades you could have taken, the exits you could have executed, the micro decisions that might have spared you the sting. The mind's eye is cruel in its precision, and each rerun tightens the grip of regret, not as a teacher, but as a tormentor. You hear the ticks, see the candles, smell the electronic hum of the platform, and every detail reinforces the narrative of failure. And yet, beneath the pain, beneath the gnawing of what-ifs, there is an unspoken lesson. The replay is not reality, it is perception, and perception can deceive. The obsession with undoing, with perfecting the past, blinds you to the present, and the longer you dwell, the more your confidence erodes, your clarity clouds, your readiness for the next move diminishes. The cycle seems endless, but the awareness of it, the recognition that you are caught in it, is the first crack in the trap. There is a subtle possibility hidden there that through watching without surrendering, through feeling without dissolving, the replay can become a map rather than a prison, a mirror for understanding your tendencies, your impulses, your triggers. And as the images of the trade continue to flicker, you realize that while the loss cannot be undone, the way you carry it, the way you let it shape or break you, is entirely within your control, waiting for the moment you finally step out of the loop, take a breath, and decide what to do next. The hardest truth settles in slowly, almost imperceptibly, like cold water creeping up your legs until it reaches your chest, and then you are submerged, unable to resist. Losses are inevitable, impartial, and indifferent. The market does not apologize, it does not pause for your heartbreak, and it certainly does not care about your intentions or your plans. The sting you feel is not a sign of weakness, nor a mark of failure, but a reflection of engagement, of caring, of daring to participate in something bigger than yourself. And yet, acknowledging this truth does not make it easier. The ache remains, persistent and insistent, reminding you of what you risked and what you lost. There is no magic formula, no shortcut to escape this reality, only the slow, deliberate recognition that control is an illusion, and the only true mastery is over your response, your mindset, and your choices in the face of imperfection. Accepting this is not surrender, it is a confrontation, a dialogue with your own limitations, a willingness to stare into the discomfort and emerge not diminished but enlightened. You feel the weight of every dollar lost, yes, but you also feel the weight of awareness pressing against your consciousness, reminding you that pain is transient, but the lessons, if embraced, are permanent. The market exposes the fragility of ego, the fragility of hope, and the fragility of certainty, and in that exposure lies clarity. There is no pretending here, no glossing over mistakes, no consolation in self-deception. The truth is stark, unforgiving, and beautiful in its honesty. And in that brutal clarity, you glimpse the possibility that loss is not merely an endpoint, not merely a wound to endure, but a pivot, a point from which you can rise, rebuild, and prepare for what comes next, if only you have the courage to face it without flinching, without hiding, without regret clouding the lessons it carries. Somewhere in the aftermath, in the quiet between the heartbeat and the next candle, a subtle shift begins, almost imperceptible, a flicker of understanding that regret, though painful, can be a teacher rather than a jailer. You start to see the threads connecting your decisions, the impulses that overrode discipline, the patterns of hesitation or overconfidence that repeated themselves silently, invisibly, until the loss revealed them with merciless clarity. It is not comfort, it is not consolation, but it is a kind of insight, sharp and precise, that cuts through the fog of self-recrimination. You realize that regret can be mapped, analyzed, understood, and transformed into a guide for future action. That the sting you feel is data, not judgment, a diagnostic of how you operate under pressure, how fear and desire warp perception, and how attachment to outcomes can cloud rational thought. Slowly, deliberately, you begin to record, to note, to reflect, to prepare. A chart of mistakes, a plan for improvement, a framework for resilience. The emotional weight remains, but it becomes structured, channeled, something you can work with rather than be crushed by. And in this process, you find agency, the faint but persistent awareness that you can choose your response, your approach, your next trade. The lesson is not abstract. It is practical, intimate, and immediate. Regret ceases to be a passive punishment and becomes an active tool, a mirror showing where growth is possible, where discipline can strengthen, where patience and awareness can be sharpened. You feel the sting transform into motivation, a quiet, insistent pulse that reminds you that you can do better, not because losses are avoidable, but because your approach, your mindset, and your decisions are within your control. And in that subtle, almost invisible shift, the most important truth emerges. Mastery is not the absence of pain, but the ability to extract clarity and action from it, to let regret illuminate the path forward instead of dragging you backward into despair. And finally, as the storm in your mind quiets just enough to breathe, you confront the lingering sting one last time, fully, honestly, without flinching. You acknowledge the frustration, the shame, the self-reproach, the haunting replay of mistakes that refuses to let go, and in doing so, you reclaim a fragment of control. The loss is real, but so is the choice to move forward, to trade again, to engage with the market on your terms rather than letting emotion dictate your actions. You carry the memory not as a burden, but as a compass, a reminder of vulnerability, of imperfection, of the hard work still ahead. And in that fragile space between pain and understanding, something remarkable happens. Clarity sharpens, awareness deepens, and patience grows. You realize that regret is not the end. It is the crucible where experience hardens into wisdom. The sting does not vanish, nor should it, for it is the proof that you care, that you risk, that you dare. But now it is a measured companion, not a captor. You step away from the screen, breathe, and feel a quiet readiness returning, a subtle but undeniable courage to re-engage, knowing that the market will challenge you again, and this time you will meet it armed not with denial or fantasy, but with understanding, with discipline, and with the unshakable knowledge that even in loss, even in regret, you are learning, growing, and moving forward. And so the loop ends, not with despair, but with anticipation, not with surrender, but with the quiet thrill of possibility, the whispered promise that each trade, each moment of pain, each sting of regret is shaping the trader you are becoming, if only you have the courage to endure, to observe, and to rise. Appreciate your time here. These moments are for observing yourself, not the market. A like or subscribe is welcome if you feel it, but don't rush. Keep this awareness with you and let it guide your mind, your emotions, and your decisions.